What's up, guys? Today I'm updating my 2024 electoral map predictions. We're already halfway through August and less than 3 months away till the next president will be chosen. So let's dive into where Kamala Harris and Donald Trump stand on path to the crucial 270 electoral votes. We'll start by filling in the solid states for both candidates. These states are the states that either Harris or Trump will win by at least 15 percentage points. Let's begin with the safe blue states: Washington, California, Hawaii, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland, the District of Columbia, and the 1st District of Maine. These states are firmly in Harris's column, and on the other side, Trump is set to dominate in Alaska, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, nearly all of Nebraska, along with Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, and the 2nd District of Maine. With the solid states locked in, Trump holds an early lead with 126 electoral votes, with Harris at around 109. Next, we move on to the likely states. These are states where the margin of victory is expected to be between 7 and 15 points. Starting with Harris likely states, we have Oregon. Although it's leaning blue, the margin might be tighter this time, with Harris expected to secure around a 12-point lead. Biden won Oregon by 16 points in 2020, but it only went to Clinton by 11 in 2016, so the race could be closer than expected. Illinois is another likely blue state where Harris will likely win by just under 15 points. Then there's Delaware, Biden's home state. While you might think of Delaware as deeply blue, it's not as solid as it appears. Clinton only won it by a likely margin in 2016, and Biden barely managed a solid win in 2020. New Jersey is a usually safe blue state, but due to the ongoing scandal with Senator Bob Menendez, the race here is way more competitive. Menendez's troubles have damaged the Democratic brand in the state, making it harder for Harris to win by a wide margin. In New York, though, despite Biden carrying the state by 23 points last time, this election is likely to be more competitive. The state's political landscape has been shaken by figures like Governor Kathy Hochul, who took over after Andrew Cuomo resigned amid a sexual harassment scandal, and New York City Mayor Eric Adams, both whom have seen their approval ratings plummet. But I would still say that they're going to lean towards being blue. Colorado rounds out the likely blue states. Biden won the state by 13.5 points in 2020, but Harris is expected to win by over 7 points this time, keeping it in the Democratic fold, but not a wide margin. So I'll mark this as a blue state for now, but it seems like they have a safe cushion for this month at least. Let's see what the Trump campaign does over the next couple months to push in Colorado. Before we dive into Trump's likely states, if you're watching this video, please subscribe to the channel. It really supports us to continue to give you the most up-to-date content. If you want to be kept up to date on the election, please subscribe as November approaches. Now, let's look at Trump's likely states, starting with Iowa and Ohio. These two states were solid wins for Trump in 2016 and 2020. In fact, they've shifted significantly to the right since 2012, when Obama won both by safe margins. But by 2016, these states had swung nearly 15 points to the right. They're no longer the swing states that they once were. They're solidly in the red camp, with Trump expected to carry them by likely margins again in 2024. Moving on to Texas, which is another key state for Trump. Despite speculation that Democrats might flip Texas in the near future, it's not happening anytime soon. Let's be real. Biden's 2020 campaign poured resources into Texas. I think they put in over hundreds of millions of dollars, but he still lost by over 5 points. This time, Trump is on track to win by at least 9 points, possibly even a double-digit margin, keeping Texas firmly in the Republican column. Very humorous to spend that much money to try to flip a state like Texas, but, whatever. Florida is another state to watch. It used to be one of the most competitive states in the country. In almost every other election, Florida was probably the most significant swing state. They actually did used to fluctuate left and right. Florida has a lot of power electorally, as they hold 30 electoral votes. However, in recent years, it's become increasingly red. Governor Ron DeSantis and Senator Marco Rubio both won their re-elections by solid margins in 2022, and Trump is expected to win Florida by at least 7 points in 2024. making it another likely win for the GOP. With the solid and likely states filled in, Trump now leads with 219 electoral votes, compared to Harris's 191 votes. Moving on to lean states. These are states that would be decided by margins between 2 and 7 points. These states are more competitive, but one candidate still has a clear advantage. First up, for Harris is New Mexico. This state has been trending blue, with Clinton winning by 8 points in 2016 and Biden by 11 in 2020. However, as Hispanic voters start to shift away from the Democratic Party, Harris's margin is expected to shrink, making New Mexico a lean blue state. It's very interesting to see. Watch out for states with a large Latino population, as the demographic is starting to lean away from Democratic Party and starting to shift towards being more Republican. Next is New Hampshire. With its 4 electoral votes, in 2016, this was the second closest state in the country, with Clinton barely edging out Trump by 0.37%. Biden carried it by 7 points in 2020, but Harris is likely to win by a narrow margin of around 4 to 5 points, keeping it in the Democratic column, but not by much, so watch out. Maine as a whole, with its 2 statewide electoral votes, also falls into the lean blue category. Although Biden won Maine by 9 points in 2020, Harris isn't performing as strongly, so she is not performing that strong in Maine. Second, I will still place them in the lean blue category just based on how Biden won clearly in the last election. Virginia is another lean state for Harris. This state has been trending rightward in recent years, despite Biden's double-digit win in 2020. The election of Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin in 2021 showed that the GOP has made significant gains here. If Biden had stayed in the race, polling suggested that Trump might have won Virginia, and Harris isn't polling as well as Biden did, so Virginia would be a lean state for the Democrats. Finally, Minnesota. Tim Walz's home state is also a lean Democratic state, with Walz as Harris's running mate. The state is expected to be more competitive, but it should still go blue. However, it's worth noting that just 8 years ago, Minnesota was a tilt Democratic state, with Biden winning by only 7 points in 2020. Harris is unlikely to outperform Biden, even with Walz on the ticket. Adding these lean states, Harris now has 225 electoral votes. Moving on to Trump's lean states. North Carolina is up first. The Tar Heel state was a tilt state in 2020, going to Trump by just 1%. But this time he's favored to win by around 4 points. Despite high hopes from Democrats, North Carolina remains a tough state for them. Georgia, another closely watched state, is leaning back towards Trump. Despite Biden's narrow win in 2020, Georgia remains fundamentally red. Governor Brian Kemp was reelected by a comfortable margin in 2022, and Trump is expected to win Georgia by a lean margin in 2024. Georgia going blue in 2020 seems like it was just an anomaly. Trump won't have to worry too much about Georgia, as they will likely lean back to being red. However, watch the turnout of voters in Atlanta, which could be crucial for Harris. Arizona, another key battleground, is also leaning Republican. Harris's selection of Tim Walz as a running mate doesn't provide much of a boost in the Sunbelt states, and Trump is likely to reclaim Arizona, a state he won by nearly 4 points in 2016. Arizona has been a red state since the 1990s, so Trump won't have to worry here too much. Finally, there's Nevada, the last state in the Sunbelt. Harris's focus on the Midwest with their VP choice has left the Sunbelt really vulnerable, and Trump has been leading in the battleground states for months. Nevada, which went to Clinton and Biden by the exact 2.4% margin in the last 2 elections, is now leading Republican, with Trump's expected to win by around 3 points. We're now left with the 3 Rust Belt states, which are Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. These are critical battleground states that will likely decide the election. If Trump wins even one of these states, he'll surpass 270 electoral votes, and that's where the real battle lies. Wisconsin is the final lean state on our map, and I'm going to mark it blue because Michigan and Pennsylvania currently are tilting slightly in Trump's favor. I'll mark Michigan and Pennsylvania red real quick. Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, from neighboring Ohio, could cancel any advantage Harris might gain from having Tim Walz as a running mate in the Midwest. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania make up what used to be called the blue wall. This is because they used to consistently vote blue and would be crucial in helping Democrats win in previous elections. until 2016 when Hillary Clinton lost all 3 of these states. That was when these states started to become really competitive. Even though Biden won these states in 2020, they were by very, very slim margins. And don't forget about the 2nd District of Nebraska. This is the district that went to Trump in 2016 and Biden in 2020. But redistricting has made it more favorable for Republicans. So I'm putting it in the tilt Republican category, making it the worst performance for a Democratic ticket since 1988. It's very interesting to see the approach of the candidates in the election. For example, Trump he's been very vocal, recently going on Elon Musk's social media platform, X, and he did a live interview with Elon. Trump has also recently been trying to appeal to the younger audience by going on popular streams, such as Aiden Ross, who's a big influence amongst the youth. Trump is very outspoken and going out in the field, while Harris is not going out of her way to do live debates and interviews. Let's see what happens over the next couple weeks, and I'll make sure to keep you guys updated. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please let me know down in the comment section, who do you think is going to win the election and why you think so? And also, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really supports the channel. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in and have a blessed day.